Guess who's Bizak?
Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back?
Guess who's back? Back again. Guess who's back? 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 Guess who's back?
Aaron Jamilsters, we're back!
Yep, they're back.
You're back!
And there was much rejoicing.
And now it's time for another edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. With your hosts, the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. I am indeed the Reverend Moses of St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity, and I'd like to welcome one and all to yet another wonderful episode of the 12th Man Fan Jam, the show made by Seahawk fans from around the world who just love to sit around and talk about the Seahawks. Over the next hour or so, we hope you are entertained, you are enlightened, and you are enthralled, while I and the posse talk about your Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks as they get ready to play the Green Bay Packers. So sit back, relax, imbibe in a sin of your choice, but remember, from this point on, all the games are for realsies. And we are for realsies as well, as I'm joined here by my 12th Man Fan Jam posse, as I am every show. First is my partner in crime, the yin to my yang. He is from merry old England. You know him as Suffolk Blue. We know him as Matt.
Hello, Dennis. How are you?
Wonderful, Matt. How have you been?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Looking forward to the start of the real proper games of football, where proper things happen.
It has been so long since we've
It has been so
very
long.
long. So very
Too
long.
long.
Speaking of long, there's our news hound. I don't know if that's a good segue or not, but I'm going with it. His 12th Man editorial is found on SeahawksSal.com. You know him as Shadowhawk. We know him as Will.
Hey, Dennis, just keeping it realsies out here.
Ah, that's all you can do out there. How's the 12th man temperature out there?
I'm getting ready. I mean, there's definitely a buzz. We've got a real football game in less than a week.
The lads are salty, are they not?
We're ready to go.
Excellent, excellent. And finally, back from his self-appointed leave of absence to go out into the world and find himself. From behind enemy lines in nasty California, you know him as Zorn76. We know him as Statsman Mark. Welcome back, Mark.
Hey, everybody. Be here. I recorded 15 minutes. 15 minutes southwest of Levi Stadium, where they are holding a wake for 49er fans mourning the loss of Aldon Smith for 9 games.
By most Niner fans, I'm surprised they're not burning Goodell and effigy down there instead.
That's very
They
true.
want to go easy at that. Want to go easy on that wake, though. They don't want to rough up that turf anymore. They'll have to keep replacing it every week at this rate. It's not going well.
The 49er stadium jokes will be going out throughout the show. I have no doubt. I'm so underwhelmed. I haven't been that underwhelmed since Gerardo Rivera opened Al Capone's vault. I mean, it was that bad. But enough of that. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that. It is finally time to see the Seahawks defend their Super Bowl title. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and tell you how this show is run and get right to it. If this is your first time listening or seeing this show, welcome. We're glad you're here. And please don't worry. We will be gentle. Well, I can't speak for Will, but most of us will. The show's run with 4 quarters, just like a real NFL football game. We have 2 2-minute warnings as well at the end of each half. In the first quarter, Will, in his glorious news section, will have some stories from around the NFL and around the world. Quarter 2, we'll talk about the preseason this evening. We'll talk about pleasant surprises, bitter disappointments, and things like that. Maybe talk about some of the NFL rules that were going on. The 2-minute warning will be one of our very special regular features that we have on the show. This is called Headlines and Punchlines, where we take a headline from the NFL world and we apply our own punchlines to it. And tonight's is a doozy. It's about the 49ers' new stadium. You won't want to miss that one. At halftime, we have a very special blessing from the Reverend Moses himself for the season and for the Green Bay Packer game. In quarter 3, we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of just doing the stats and injuries, we're going to actually talk about a key stat with our stats man Mark and a key injury with our medic Matt and kind of decide how that's going to factor in with our game against the Green Bay Packers. And in quarter 4, as we always do, we'll do our predictions for games, the score, and also who our game ball will be. And we'll also make a prognostication with that. At 2-minute warning, we're going to do something a little different. We used to do our prognostications there, but because this is the beginning of the season, our 2-minute warning, we're going to do our fearless season predictions. This is some prediction about the season in the Seahawks. It might be a team, it might be an individual, something that's going to shock the world about your Seattle Seahawks at the end of the year. Some stat or some mind-boggling thing that's going to happen. And speaking of mind-boggling things that are going to happen, if you want to share something with us, you want to give us email, a brief message, a snapshot, anything tasteless, tasteful, we don't care, please send it to 12thmanfanjam@gmail.com, which is on your screen right now. We'd love to hear from you. We really would. And now let's go ahead and get started right off the first quarter with Will and the news. Yes, news that may have slipped through the cracks while you were too busy watching the Seahawks play in a meaningless preseason game. Our Shadowhawk Will has all the NFL stories you may have missed. Will, what do you have for us?
Well, Marshawn Lynch made a lot of headlines on Super Bowl week for not saying anything, or by saying as little as possible. But he's hardly the only NFL running back who prefers to be reticent when talking to the media. Houston Texans' Arian Foster has gotten into some hot water this offseason, starting with the media session in which he answered every single question by saying he was just trying to be the best teammate that he could be. After that, he wrote on Twitter that the media is, quote, full of propaganda, and then wrote that the media chastises him for not giving them what they want after another chat later in camp. And then finally, when interviewed by USA Today recently, he said, I have a reputation for keeping my mouth shut with the local media. The Houston media here, they ask really mundane questions, and when I give them mundane answers, they get upset with me. So, chalk up another NFL player who's not really happy with the way the media does its job.
You mean they don't like having their microphones shoved in front of their faces? After
imagine that.
Imagine that.
Well, when they say that the media is just propaganda, does he understand what the media is supposed to do? I sit there. I'm begging with blue people. You know, they're all just about the story. Yeah, that sort of is it. Really, is that all right? Crazy people, crazy world.
I'm not sure they know what that means.
You know, they've got a job to do.
Yes.
And the job is not catering to the athletes.
Well, look, you know,
That's
poor old
very true.
Mark Silver's anonymous source has got to get his stuff from somewhere. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Mike Silver.
people have to say stuff to the media, which they can then twist and turn to be untrue, so that his anonymous source can actually report that back as fact. This has to happen.
Otherwise, the whole system comes crashing down.
Exactly. We've got no one to take the mickey out of for an entire season.
And we'll have dogs and cats living together.
Well,
Mass hysteria.
Manziel.
And Manziel living with somebody? Is that what you were saying?
Well, Matt was saying there'll be no one to take the mickey out of without it, and I said there'll always be Johnny Manziel doing something.
Oh, boy, that boy.
Very true. Oh, that damn kid. Well, before we get into our next story, Will, I do want to take time to introduce, we have another member of our posse that has made his appearance. He is a regular here. He's been here many times. Hopefully he continues to be a regular with us. A friend, a father, a regular on our show. From Washington, you know him as X-Ray Hawk. We know him as Dustin.
Hey guys, how's it going? I apologize for being late. I got caught up watching some stand-up comedy and did not realize what time it was. I apologize for that.
Stood up for a comedian.
The last one here buys the keg, just so you know.
That's exactly right.
It's good to know.
Can I just say for the record that I was the first person here for a change?
Yeah, for a change. You haven't slept yet. You feel great.
Last time.
Like last time. I haven't slept yet. No, it's 3 a.m. I haven't slept yet, but I will do shortly. When we start talking about the San Francisco 49ers Stadium, I'll have a little kip then. I think
there you go. That's the best time, nap time. Well, usually when I do my sermon, that's when everyone sleeps at halftime. So you can do it then. I'm used to that. Yeah, exactly. Something else I'm used to as well. It's wonderful news. Will, you got another story for us?
Well, speaking of Johnny Manziel, as has been made apparent in recent news stories lately, Cowboys owner and general manager, and reason why they're perennially an 8 team at best, Jerry Jones, was reported that he had to be physically restrained from turning on it by his son. Who said he wasn't restrained, but admitted he was tempted to draft Johnny Manziel. So, I think now not to draft Johnny, and I'm proud that I was a good listener. So I wonder if he was proud before or after Manziel spent summer riding inflatable swans and rolling up $100 bills and losing the starting job.
Now, far be it from me to call the late great Jerry Jones a liar. But watching.
Oh, wait, the late?
Watching he has to remember when he says stuff. When his mouth moves and stuff comes out, that if a television camera happened to be recording his war room at the time of the draft, which actually every camera on the planet was pretty much looking at his draft room, he wasn't restrained by anyone, really. He just sat back in his big chair with 6 different women on one side and 4 different blokes on the other side. And then one bloke reached towards the telephone to pick it up and was told to put it down, and then he picked it up, and then they drafted somebody else. So it didn't quite, I don't think it quite went like that, really. Jerry did it, to be fair.
I know. I remember one guy actually leaving the room, like he was realizing what was going on, and then he turned around and he left the room. And then after they made the draft choice, he came back in with a smile on his face, like, yes, we didn't get Manziel.
He went to the toilet.
Him sitting in the chair, we didn't see whether or not he was belted into the chair by his son.
That'd be awesome. He's got like one of those evil chairs where, like, you know, that they move around and stuff, and they like segways. Well, awesome. He is the Dr. Evil of Texas. I love the idea of this.
I don't often pray on draft day, but when Manziel fell into the Cowboys draft pick, I prayed that whole pick. Please, God, please let Jerry pick him. Please let Jerry pick him. Please let Jerry pick him. Because I just wanted to see. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? This is it. I am in heaven. Jerry Jones is going to make the biggest mistake of his life. I cannot wait. Well, the biggest mistake at that point obviously was Romo, but you know, I was praying for that to happen. So I was watching that guy like a hawk. Please, God, please let Jerry Jones draft him. And then he did, and I thought, oh.
The very best thing about the whole of that draft day for me was watching Johnny Manziel getting more and more sad as more and more people did not pick him. It was just the best. It was just the best watching I've ever done. And every time they went back to him, he's on his phone, and you can tell that he was playing something like one of those Candy Crush games because nobody was ringing him. Nobody was ringing him. It was very sad. I laughed a lot.
It was.
Yeah, I don't see why Jerry Jones thinks his decision not to draft Johnny Manziel was why he's so proud of it. I think there's pretty much 31 NFL GMs right now who are proud of him for not drafting Johnny Manziel.
Yeah.
Oh, dear me. What a strange kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was like
Keyword
this.
being kid.
Yeah, it was like this. Okay, we now go back to the draft room with Johnny Manziel. Poor Johnny. He's just sitting there, baby. Poor Johnny.
Nice.
Poor guy. And now he's in Cleveland.
Well, one is the loneliest number.
It is. All right, and you have one story left, don't you?
I do. Speaking of draft day, one of the more intriguing that came out of that was when the 49ers did for Stevie Johnson. And, of course, the and intrigue came from the fact that they actually had a non-mediocre receiver. Well, it hasn't quite worked out that way. In his first 3 preseason games, Johnson has only caught 2 passes for 11 yards. And Colin Kaepernick thinks he knows why. Quote, "There are times that he's going to make a move on a DB, and you have to be ready because he's also making a move that you have to see. So I think that there's something where it took a little bit longer just to get used to his body language because he has some unorthodox things that he does." Johnson, meanwhile, backed up Kaepernick's explanation, saying that he's taken it upon himself to be unorthodox to make up for things that some other receivers have. And I'd just like to state for the record, this guy became one of the league in Fitzpatrick throwing to him. So keep trying, Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Oh, that's excellent. So what are you saying about Kaepernick then?
He's no Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He's no Ryan Fitzpatrick, apparently.
I think if they put more plays in there where Johnson is the first read, then he'll probably get some more passes. But other than that, he's SOL.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, if Johnson is having so much trouble getting open, he should just run up into the stands. There's plenty of room up.
Not well played. Well played. We're going to talk about that stadium later, too. So that's... Yeah, Stevie Johnson, I was a little worried when they got him, but after watching the 49er offense in the preseason, I know it's preseason, but I'm not so worried anymore. I don't know. Dustin, your thoughts on the 49ers offense?
I haven't really noticed one in the preseason. So. That's about it, though.
That's about it, though. Yeah, and I think, the thing about, Ryan Fitzpatrick threw me the ball. Why can't you throw me the ball? I think they're going to be saying that all year. Wasn't Stevie Johnson, wasn't he the guy that, blamed God when he dropped the ball in the end zone or something a couple years ago? Do you ever remember that?
Yeah, he did. He had some weird reaction. I don't really remember.
It was something very strange.
It's the end of the first quarter, bitches.
So anyway, well, thank you, Will, very much for the news. We appreciate it. We're going to take a quick break here, and in the first quarter, we're going to come back second quarter, talk about the Seahawks in the preseason, and we are also going to take some time and talk about the Seahawks as well as that wonderful new stadium in San Francisco. So we'll get excited about that in just a minute.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam, and you'd better keep listening.
And now it's time for the second quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to take you through the second quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you once again, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam, and welcome to the second quarter of this very special opening weekend Packer edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Oh, that does not sound good. Packer edition sounds kind of nasty, but we'll move on. Second quarter, we're going to talk about the preseason. The preseason started, and there were a fair amount of rule changes that had happened. Mark, what were your views on how the games were being done at the start of the preseason as compared to the year before?
Oh, well, I guess to comment on that thoroughly, I would have had to catch more preseason. But I know they're big on, let's see, they're emphasizing, offensive push-offs?
And defensive grabbing, so to speak.
Okay, and then, the defensive chucks, after 5 yards then?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Did you see a big difference?
No, because I did not catch much of the games.
Oh, okay.
I guess the thing I will say, what I will say is that I'm curious if at the end of the day what they're really doing is trying to set a precedent in the preseason, get everybody mindful of the rule changes, and then maybe be quite as strict in the regular season.
That seems to be the pattern in the past when they've had this. The pattern in the past has been they really emphasize it in preseason, and then they just kind of let the guys play in the regular season. Dustin, what was your thought, especially on the, I guess, if you want to be a conspiracist, you could call it the Manning rule, so to speak, as far as the defensive players touching the receivers down the field. Did you think it was overemphasized? What were your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought it was completely overemphasized. As was case in point, whenever the league told Pete Carroll that that pick six Harold Simon had was not a penalty and it should not have come back.
Right.
So they were just trying to remember the point, say this is how it's going to be aware of it, and it'll be just like a lot of the rule changes or the rule emphases that they tend to do in other years, where they call it excessively in the preseason, then we get to the regular season and it's business as usual. So I'm not really sweating it, but it was frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Hey, Will, a little bit of a controversy, if you would, because we got a friend in England, I'll pronounce it like that, involving the fact that maybe the NFL was kind of using this rule as an excuse after the Seahawks completely manhandled the Peyton Manning in particular and his receivers in Super Bowl 48. Do you think there's any ground, any footing to that possible controversy, that maybe they're doing this because of Manning?
Well, maybe not Manning specifically, but maybe it's just about the money. I mean, you got to believe that most of the country was turning that Super Bowl off into the third and fourth quarter. The league wants exciting ball games, and when one team comes out and manhandles, or Manning handles, as the case may be, the other team like that, ratings slip as the game goes on, because unless you're a Seahawk fan who's waited his whole life for this, that may not be a game you want to watch. So I don't think it's necessarily in favor of Manning. I do think it was a response to what Seattle did in the Super Bowl, just like the fact that Seattle only gets one home primetime game was a response to how they played in all the other home primetime games last year. If they're all blowouts, nobody's going to watch.
Right.
But I was hoping to snare Seattle with these rule emphases. They didn't get what they wanted, since none of the defenders got called for contact. And when you take away the calls that were made that shouldn't have been made, Seattle's defense as a whole is only flagged twice.
Good point. Matt, there was one more rule. They brought the kicking back for the extra point a few yards. Do you think they should change that, or do you think they should keep it where it's at, or do you really just could care less about that rule?
I think they're going to stop mucking about with the rules of this game. There gets to a point. I mean, for example, we're lucky to still have an extra point, to be frankly honest, because Roger Goodell, the only commissioner of the NFL who's probably never played the bloody game, has decided that that's something else he wants to liven up, make more exciting. No, just leave the damn game alone. You don't see soccer change its rules every year. You don't see, snooker, cricket, or any other bloody sport change its rules every single year. Rugby doesn't change its rules every single year. You've got there's just far too many changes in order to try somehow to make this game, more exciting for offense. Because this is what it comes down to. They're doing this because they believe that defensive football is boring to watch. Mm-hmm. That's it. Why they're doing it? They believe, it's as if, for me, as if they believe that unless you're throwing that ball 40 yards every single play and catching it successfully and running it in for 6, it's not interesting to watch. And I don't think that's true.
I agree.
Well, I think a lot of that, Matt, is because it's in America and 1-1 ties are boring, so they like offense over here.
We have to have
Seriously,
winners.
Though, if you want to make the extra point, if you want to do a change to the extra point that makes it more exciting, instead of moving it back, move it to the 1 yard line. Encourage teams to go to 2 more often.
Oh, I like
that. But
yeah.
I think Matt's right, though, that they're emphasizing offense and scores and yards, and that's why Wilson doesn't get the respect he deserves sometimes, because he doesn't throw for as many yards. And Richard Sherman, I think, hit the nail on the something I've argued before. Part of it is fantasy football. I mean, that's such a booming industry of its own, and points and more means more scores for fantasy football.
But it's like that in every sport in it. For example, the sports we have here, baseball, hitting the home run, nobody wants to see a 1-0 ball game. They want to see a 10-9 baseball game. When you look at basketball, they want to see scores in the 120s. They don't want to see them in the 80s and 70s. They want to see, the 35, 40-point game. They don't want to see the guy that has 7 blocks. And so it is in every game in America that, scoring is overemphasized. I agree. Something that did a lot of scoring in this preseason. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I agree with Matt. I think the extra point thing, moving it back, is just silly. I think the extra point should be automatic. That's the whole point of it for me.
I agree. And it's just a rule for the sake of a rule, I think it sounds like to me.
I really didn't do much. Yeah, it didn't do much for me either. I mean, it's the point after. It doesn't really bother me. They can move it back. It's fine. They can keep it there. It's fine. It really does nothing. Has no bearing on anything as far as my view of the game. Then if you're going to make a rule, it should have some kind of impact. And to me, this does not.
This is that's the best point I think we can make, is that if you're going to make a change to a rule, it's got to have a reason and an impact that actually has, there's a reason why that rule exists. For example, if you want to stop players from being rolled up on and causing them considerable injuries, then yes, of course you want to make some rules about not being able to go below the leads or from the sides. You do have to have rules. What we don't have to have is every owner of every team and the NFL commissioner every year trying to think up the next most ludicrous, stupid rule they can, just so they get more column inches within another part of the NFL to sell some more tickets. It's if the sport is not competitive, then let's not bother. Let's go and watch soccer.
Seriously, was there this huge upswing I missed of people complaining about extra points? I mean, why do this?
No.
I mean, I like the extra point. It gives you more time to get to the fridge and get a beer.
Exactly. Yeah. It gives you more time to cheer. Because you cheer, they score, and then, the extra point, we can cheer again.
Yeah, and what's awesome about the extra point is when somebody misses it, you remember that. Yes, like Vanderjet. You remember Vanderjet missing that extra point?
Oh, yes.
The idiot kicker? Yeah.
Idiot Canadian kicker.
Yeah, it's hilarious. We have no reason to remember that. Trying to kick over into the stands on the right side of the stadium. I mean, it was ridiculous.
It was. Something else that was a little bit ridiculous in this preseason was the Seattle offense. There were some amazing things in the 4 games that Seattle played. Will, what was either a major disappointment or a major surprise for you from the Seahawks these 4 games of preseason?
I don't know if I'd call it a surprise, but I was just impressed with Russell Wilson. I mean, of course, I can't think of anybody who wouldn't be, but the guy, you take what he's done the last couple of years, and he looks, I know it's preseason, but he just looks better.
I know.
And I think that's going to send a chill down the spines of defensive coordinators league-wide.
Now, we'll go back in time, 12 months go back 12 months, and you meet yourself, and you say, hey, you haven't seen anything yet. This kid's actually going to be better than he is now. I think the will of the past would call you crazy. But I agree with you. He's actually gotten better. Dustin, what's a surprise or a disappointment you've seen?
Well, mine's going to be a little bit more on the negative side, and it's the secondary. The depth isn't there like it has been in previous years, it doesn't look like. Which is a little bit scary. I mean, they're 4 deep, but Lane was out for this Raiders game, and it showed.
As was Simon.
Yeah, as was Simon, and it showed that the depth there. They have the next man up mentality, but the next man up get touchdowns, Raiders, and a rookie quarterback last night. So I'm not. I'm a little worried about that. That was disappointing, the amount of points they allowed them to put up, and a lot of it was against first team offense. It was 21-0 at the end of 21-7 at the end of the first quarter, which is very worrisome to me.
Zorni, what are you worried about, or what are you happy about the preseason? Besides the fact that it's over.
Hallelujah. didn't see much of the preseason. I did make a point of watching the Chicago game because that's game 3. That's to me the real true dress rehearsal, and that was it's preseason, but they just looked very sharp, and I was really happy to see that. For the Raider game, it was nice to see that at least offensively, we had the ball, we scored right away. That one I just looked at the box score. I didn't really pay much attention or see much action at all in terms of how the defense was. But I just think we're just compared to our division rivals, we're looking really in the best shape out of the 4 teams.
I think so too. Matthew, what do you got about the preseason? Your thoughts?
The fact that it's possible to get sent off in a preseason game astounds me. I watched that and I my jaw hit the table. Why anybody who is not 100% guaranteed on a team would and I understand passion, I understand getting upset, I understand all of these wonderful things, but my word, who gets sent off at a preseason game? That's just crazy.
Yeah.
So Thorold Simon, dudes, that honestly, penalties is what I'm going to say. Sorry. Of the games we lose, penalties are the ones that kill us. There was 13 penalties for quite knows how many yards for the Broncos game, 12 penalties for 90-odd yards in the Raiders game. The 2 games we did really well in where everything was clicking, very, very few penalties. It's always been a bugbear for Seahawks, so even me saying this is boring because it's, it happens. But we've got to get them under control. We can't let them get away from us.
Well, not all penalties are created equal, though.
Yeah, the types of penalties are what bugs me. I coach 2nd to 6th graders. I've done that the last few years. And not once have any of those kids ever got a penalty for being offsides on a kickoff. And then last night they had, 3 penalties, I think it was, for being offsides on a freaking kickoff. This is attention to detail. They need to get that under control.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I honestly have no problem if they get penalties for being too aggressive, for hitting too hard, stuff like that. I'll take those any day. But it's the mental errors, the false starts, the offsides on the kickoffs, the delays of game. Stuff they really need to tighten down on.
Yeah, I agree. Well, something else that bothered me, since we're kind of, I am the minister of the Church of Seahawk Positivity. However, something that's a little bit of a negativity to me, and it's just me, and maybe you guys agree with me or not, but I hate seeing Earl Thomas returning punts. I'll just say it. I know he had that great punt return. Everybody got excited. Please, can we find somebody, please, that isn't Earl Thomas?
I agree.
I just would like to see somebody else.
Last night.
Yeah, on that one, I don't know. We talked about it before, but that one I agree. And even though the guy has injury problems, my candidate would be Percy Harvin, because if our defense doesn't give up many points, if we have a lot of deep kickoffs, I put Percy Harvin back there on punts.
I don't know. Even I went to practice, I think it was 3 or 4 times this year, and it was kind of cool because right after they break from the stretch and all that, start going into the team drills or whatever, they always took the 3, 4, or 5 guys who were trying to compete for kick or punt return, and they throw them out there and return punts. And Earl Thomas in practice, every time I was there, he was always the guy that did it the best, and it didn't really look that close to me. So
I'm not saying he can't do it.
Doing it, but no, I'm just saying you have to ask yourself, is the drop off that much? I mean, if the drop off is that bad, that's not good. I mean, maybe put somebody back there to call fair catch every time if you're that worried about it. But he's the best guy as far as return man goes.
I'm not saying he's not capable. He's obviously one of the fastest men on the team, and obviously he showed some breakaway speed the other night. I'm not saying he can't do it. I just am really uncomfortable seeing him do it. It's kind of like if Aaron Pryor was. Here's a crazy thing: if Aaron Pryor was our starting quarterback, and he was returning punts because he's such a great athlete and he can run and blah blah, you're saying no, don't do that. That's kind of where I'm at with this.
Let's put Brandon Mebane back there. I mean, seriously, if you saw that guy running at you, would you want to tackle him?
Nope.
One vote for Mebane.
I guarantee.
Sorry, go on, Dustin. I was going to say someone like Ricardo Lockhart. I don't care. I just don't want to see Earl Thomas. I want to see Earl Thomas do what Earl Thomas does, which is to hunt out the ball on defense and knock the hell out of them. I don't want to see him get hurt on a punt back. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Exactly. Before we go to our 2-minute warning, a quick notice about the other NFC West teams. They're getting the Cardinals. I haven't heard much about the Cardinals, but the 49ers and the Rams are getting snake bit. The Rams lost their starting quarterback Sam Bradford for the year. That cannot happen and not be a big deal in the NFC West. And of course, the deal with Aldon Smith getting 9-day suspension. That's just huge. Plus the fact the 49ers offense didn't look very good. I do happen to have I was able to get a press conference quote from Jim Harbaugh regarding Aldon Smith. I did find this. This is Jim Harbaugh speaking today, just when the Aldon Smith thing happened. When we're recording this, it happened during the very day we're recording. And this is Aldon Smith. This is Jim Harbaugh addressing Aldon Smith and the Aldon Smith situation.
Stop breaking the law, asshole!
So, Jim Harbaugh on Aldon Smith, pretty much. Yeah, but all kidding aside, Will, these are two really big blows to what were supposed to be contenders for this division.
Well, yeah, you got those two, and then you've got the Cardinals. Darnell Dockett lost for the year with an injury.
Yeah. Forgot about
Washington lost for a suspension all year. Carlos Dansby's in Cleveland. I'm not sure who got the worst of that deal, but still, that's a huge chunk out of the middle of their defense, and the defense really was the strength of that team. So, yeah, all the NFC West teams took some significant hits this offseason and preseason. What a shame, huh?
What a shame. Dustin, what are your thoughts on the hits the other teams have taken?
Well, Bradford for the Rams is obviously bad. That defense is going to be solid, though. The Cardinals' defense, they took a lot of hits. They're going to be hurting a little bit. And San Francisco, I'm just enjoying that and laughing. So.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
It is time for our 2-minute warning right before halftime. And before we go into halftime, we would like to discuss our headline and punchline for this week. Our headline and punchline this week has to do with the beautiful 49ers new stadium, Levi Stadium, made apparently from blue jeans. Yeah. Who knew? And apparently the 49ers have opened a new stadium for this season, so we are going to use that as our headline and punchline.
Headlines. Punchline.
Our headline punchline is the 49ers opened a new stadium for this season. Are you gentlemen ready?
Ready.
Here we go. All right. I will give you the headline, and then you give me your punchline. Okay, we're going to start with Dustin. Dustin, the 49ers opened a new stadium for this season.
As a promotion, they're offering the field half off.
Very nice. Well done. Will, the 49ers opened a new stadium for this season.
Team officials expect to have a viable playing surface by the 2016 season.
Isn't it sad? Brand new stadium that can't even have a surface. All right, my turn. The 49ers opened a new stadium this season. It has a huge screen, which is perfect for watching the Super Bowl when other teams play in it. All right, Will. The 49ers opened a new stadium for this season.
Candlestick Park won't be the only thing imploding this year.
Beautiful.
Your channel was edited.
And finally, excuse the voice you hear. The 49ers open a new stadium for this season. Don't forget to try the new Aldon Smith sandwich. Like Smith, it's mostly toasted, and it's the bomb. Thank you.
Nice.
Good night, everybody. All
Tip
right.
your waitress.
Tip your waitress. And that is the end
Holy shit, it's halftime.
of the second quarter. We're going to take a quick station identification, and we'll come back with a sermon from the Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity for the new season right after this.
Hey, this is Matt, all the way from merry old England, and you're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam.
And now, with a special blessing for the first game of the 2014 season, please welcome our very own Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Oh, yes. This is the self-ordained Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Island Church of Seahawk Positivity. How is everyone this evening?
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Good.
Hallelujah.
So good to hear from all my friends around the world. Matt, all the way across from the ocean. That big
Yes,
ocean.
Reverend.
Yeah, bless you, my son. You know, up all hours of the night, just in the name of Seahawk football. I don't know tea and crumpets had so much caffeine in them. Caffeine's a drug, you know. You're going to hell. But I love you, my friend. I do.
Amen, Reverend.
Yes. Cleveland had to stop for a second. Mark. Teasing those 49er fans all the time. We love you for that. We are so blessed you're here, Mark. Welcome back, my friend.
Well, I'm grateful and glad to do it, Reverend.
Yes, we love you for teasing the 49er fans, but you know jealousy is a sin, and they're going to burn in hell for that, and I'm so thankful that you're doing that. And look what dragged in out of the liquor cabinet. It's Dustin. Dustin, so good to see you, and apparently Dustin has passed out. That is so sad. But behind a bottle, as usual. It's so sad. We pray for Dustin, but that's okay. And so good to be back. It's so wonderful, and it's been just a long off season. It really was. It was like waiting for a good movie with Jennifer Lopez in it. It's just never going to happen. It sounds like, but sometimes you feel like it's never going to happen. But if we're ready, I do feel like getting some extra church up in here. Cleolanda, honey, you want to play more of that funky music, you little white woman? Oh, is she not amazing?
Hallelujah.
Oh, that tinkering of the keys got me thinking about being happy. Like doing a cartwheel and farting, it does. Moves my body and my bowels. And for me, that's a good thing, although I'm sure Cleolanda would not agree with me on that particular instant. Honey, you can take a break, but just remember, you are on probation, so stay away from the communion wine, if you would, please. Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. Oh, Cleolanda, 95 years old, doesn't look a day over 105. She's fantastic. All right. Stay away from the wine cellar, dear. Okay. Poor thing. She's so excited to see the Seahawks play again in a game that means something. She really is. She's like one of those little yippy dogs you have running around the house, you know, all shot up with drugs and drunk. A lot of running around, a lot of peeing, a lot of barfing. Our poor custodian's asking for double pay. It's really sad. Friends, praise Largent that we are all here together once again. And as we gather together, we celebrate the joys that come with having your team win the Super Bowl. We rejoice in all the happiness we experience watching our proud Seahawk team make mincemeat out of Peyton Manning and that huge, huge forehead that he has. We also praise the one true power that has always been there for us, shining all the way to the promised land. And do you know what that power is, Matt?
Seahawk Positivity, Reverend.
It is Seahawk Positivity. Praise Largent. You are so
Praise
correct.
Largent.
Oh, my brethren, but as much joy and happiness last season gave us, we must press forward. We must not stay in the past, but rather look forward to the future. For blessed are those who continue to looking forward when their past is so wonderful. It is those who do not rest in their laurels of past celebrations that are able to enjoy many future merriment. A reading from the book of the 2014 NFL season, chapter 1, verses 3 to 10. I say unto you, do not sit back and relax, for there is much left to do. Many more mountains left to climb, many more foes to defeat, many more conquests left to conquer. Rise up again, and take what is next. Take it and make it your own. Do not fret for you do this in the name of Seahawk positivity, and it is Seahawk positivity that guides you. Friends, this is the word of Seahawk positivity, and as we celebrate together, we must continue to stay in that light that leads our way through all of these tests, including this test coming up with this team from Green Bay, these Packers from Wisconsin. Packers, really? Cheese? Is that really what you want to celebrate? That's disgusting. That stuff binds you up like super glue. You should see Cleolanda. She don't go for days when she has cheese. It's disgusting. And all they have in Wisconsin is cheese and milk. Cheese and milk. It's a dairy land. They got 27 cows elected to their public office up there. They do. But you know what? They're smarter. The cows are smarter than half the Packer fan base, so they might as well run for office. That's the way I see it. And you know, you look at the Packer fans, they wear cheese on their head. Cheese on their head. Kids starving in Africa and they're wearing cheese on their heads. That's like dumping fresh cold water on your head so you don't have to give to a charity or something. It's so disgusting, but I digress. And of course, Vince Lombardi. When you think of the Packers, you think of Vince Lombardi. And Cleolanda, my piano player, she had a few one-night stands with Vince Lombardi back in the day, she says. And I believe her because she's entertained more men than Bob Hope on a USO tour. It's sad. It is. She said Lombardi sure didn't get any trophy in her world. I can tell you that. She's a little disappointing. More like a participation medal for Lombardi. He wasn't the best thing she ever had, I guess. I guess she said for Lombardi, when it came to sex, finishing wasn't everything. It was the only thing, and for him, and it was way before Cleolanda. So,
amen.
It's so sad. A legend, and you just can't do it. And then, speaking of legend, we got Aaron Rodgers. What is this discount double check move? What is that? It looks like he's wrapping something around his waist, hoping something decent will grow underneath him. I don't know. Cleolanda knows. Number 12, she told me it's more like 3.5, but I'm not going to go there. That's what she told me anyway. And again, I believe the woman. Oh, but when we talk about the Seahawks and the Packers playing in Seattle, you know you're going to hear about the Fail Mary. Let's talk about the Fail Mary. Let's put Fail Mary. Mm-hmm. There was no fail in Fail Mary. It worked, morons. We got a score out of it. If it's a Fail Mary, it wouldn't have worked. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Fail Mary, my fanny. Speaking of Fail Mary, Cleolanda's coming back up, honey. Thank you. Why don't you play us out, honey? That's my girl. She had sex with Lombardi and Aaron Rodgers. Brett Favre, I think he just sent her pictures. I'm not sure what her deal was. Thank you, brethren. Go out, spread the word of Seahawk positivity as you go out into the world this week. I must leave you now. Our wonderful Cleolanda's playing us out. Cleolanda, honey, those bottles were for Sunday communion. How could you? I don't care if your dealer is out of town. That's just rude. This has been the self-ordained Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity. Praise the Largent. I am out of here.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
Packers! 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 Please, if you'll all just go back to your drinking.
He's the stat man. He's the stat man. And here's our very own stat man. Here's Mark.
Welcome to the second half of a very special season opening edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. This is the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity here, alongside Matt, Dustin, Will, and Mark. And this is, of course, the third quarter where we talk about key stats and key injuries. And we'll start with our stats man, Mark. Mark, what are the key stats you saw for this game coming up?
Well, first off, Moses, we have the true key stat is that this is our first ever season for defending a Super Bowl title, which is awesome.
And you know what? You know, the kids have been awful quiet tonight. You know, they're still here. and the kids are going to give you a cheer for that. The kids love that stat. That's the best stat we've ever had. Stat, man. But that is a big deal because, well, you know, when you become the hunted, every game you play is the Super Bowl for somebody. And I think we saw a little bit of that this last preseason game. The Raiders played awful hard. It was preseason, but, man, we're playing the champs. And I think people get up for that.
On behalf of the Seattle Seahawks, I'd just like to address the rest of the NFL and say, bring it on, bitches.
And the kids love that as well. Yeah.
That's nice, kids, but it's past your bedtime.
It is past their bedtime, but that's all right. They've had a couple coffees. I'm gonna let them run around the block at midnight here to celebrate. Matt, what do you think about the defending the championship? You think it's going to be harder for the Seahawks this year because of that?
It's going to be harder for the Seahawks to do it because, as we all know, history says it can't be done, therefore it can't be done. Mm-hmm. It's going to be harder because the NFL has decided to change the rules to make it harder for us to be able to do it again. It seems that they're desperate for us to not have, some sort of, dynasty situation. Look, it's always harder. This is the NFL. This is not, some sort of, schoolyard football thing. It's going to be difficult. So, as long as we go into this with as hungry as we were last year, as long as we go in this, still wanting to win, as long as we go in this and control ourselves and control our penalties, I think we've got every chance to walk away with that trophy again. I really do.
I like Will's theory the best, but yes, I agree as well. Medic Matt.
Yes.
Has an important medical stat for this game. What did you find for us, Medic Mac?
Yeah, it was. I was having a look through, and Moses, thanks for helping me sort of dig around for some of these things. But we have worked out obviously that a key piece of Green Bay is going to be not on the field. It's going to be injured, and it's their center. It's their starting center. Mm-hmm. JC Tretter. He's out. He's off. He's not going to be there, and they've got a 5th round rookie to take snaps in CenturyLink Field, and I think that false starts and exactly, all of that's going to be really interesting for their timing. So discuss, but I think that's good. You guys that are going to be at CenturyLink, you want to be getting some good false starts on this game.
So what you're saying is that their center, the guy that gives the ball to Aaron Rodgers, is going to be a 5th round rookie. They brought him in opening day, Thursday night, national televised game, of course.
Yep.
Wow, and he's going to have to face that crowd. Well, I think I can hear Brandon Mebane right now. I can hear him say one thing. It's this.
Yummy.
I think that's pretty much it right there. Yummy.
Yummy.
And then he does the belly roll.
Yes, he does. He does. Dustin, are you excited about making some noise at that game for a 5th round center that's a rookie?
I'm excited about making noise for everybody in that game. Mm-hmm. Dude, I'm just excited to go. So. Yeah. Apparently I missed part of what we're talking about.
That's okay. Apparently, I'll catch you up. The starting center for the Packers is out. He's going to be replaced with a 5th round rookie.
Oh, yeah, yes, I'm excited for that.
Yes, I would. Mark, you think this will have a huge effect on the game, or do you think it's going to be kind of overrated?
No, it definitely it'll play a part. Not only the noise, just the environment. It's a primetime game. That 5th round guy's never played in our stadium, or I guess in any game, and it's just going to be so effing crazy there because you could have a Pro Bowl center, and it's just very hard for the opponent to be able to do anything at the clink.
I agree. Looking forward to that. Great stat. Any final stats or any final injuries that anyone wants to talk about before we go into the 4th quarter with our amazing predictions, prognostications, and game balls?
Nothing from me.
Did anybody say anything about I'm sorry, I was telling my wife. The efficiency of the Seahawks offense in the preseason, was that brought up?
No. Would you like to share that with us, with the rest of the class?
Freaking amazing. The offense is kind of catching up to the defense, at least in Earl Thomas's opinion. They had 13 possessions with first-team offense this year. In the preseason, they had 9 touchdowns. they only punted once, and the rest of those attempts were field goals. And I think they missed one and made the other two. So
my goodness,
that's
scary.
Scary.
That is scary, and that is actually a great lead in to the 2-minute warning when we make our predictions, our further season predictions, because mine's going to have a lot to do with that. But yes, very efficient. The offense is very efficient. Now, of course, Aaron Rodgers is nothing to sneeze at either. The Packers, fairly efficient at the quarterback position as well. And they're expecting big things up there with him. They always should with number 12 at quarterback up there. He's a very good quarterback. I love the way he runs. I think that's an underrated part of his game is his running ability. He's a lot like our guy. He runs to throw, but he can also take off, and he reminds me a lot. Andrew Luck and I think Aaron Rodgers are really similar because they're underrated as far as they run, and they have just amazingly accurate cannon arms. So,
plus they were the same number,
right? Well, and also they have that running back that was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, if I'm not mistaken. So.
And yet, the last time Aaron Rodgers was here, we sacked him 8 times. So.
Exactly, but all people remember is the pass catch.
Well, I think the major stat in that game was the Golden Tate touchdowns. So
overlooked the 9-sack performance by the defense. Very true. Very true. Hopefully they can do that again. Hopefully they can do that this Thursday night with national audience and really set the tone for the season. We will talk about that coming up.
10 sacks this time.
Yeah, I'd like to see 10. Well, maybe that's Will's prognostication. I guess we'll find out here in a minute as we head off to the end of the third quarter.
It's the end of the third quarter, bitches.
We will take a quick station identification, and we'll be right back with the start of the fourth quarter. Our predictions, not only for this game, but at a 2-minute warning next period, we'll have our predictions for the entire season right after this.
You're listening to the 12th Man Fan Jam on the Seahawk Positivity YouTube channel.
It's been such a long time. It's been such a long time. Been a long time, been a long time, been a lonely, 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 lonely time.
Are you ready for some football?
Yes!
Ready for some football?
Yes! 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 Oh! Yes! 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 Yes!
Alrighty then.
And now it's time for the fourth quarter of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Here to lead us through the final quarter is once again our host, the self-appointed Reverend Moses of the St. Paul Allen Church of Seahawk Positivity.
Yes, thank you once again, Magic Voice of the 12th Man Fan Jam. Welcome to the fourth and final quarter of this very first 2014 regular season edition of the 12th Man Fan Jam. We're so glad that you've joined us and hope that you will continue to join us this season to waste some time before that game that the Seahawks play every week. That's what we do. We sit around from around the world. We talk about the Seahawks. We have a few laughs, and you're always welcome to join us. Once again, we will, at the end, when we roll credits, you'll see our 12th Man Fan Jam at gmail.com email. We encourage you to contact us. Thoughts, opinions about the show, opinions about how it's run, opinions about what we said. We definitely want to hear from you. Please let us know if you're out there listening. So as we hit the fourth quarter here, this is what we're going to do tonight for this show, this week I should say. We're going to ask the posse to give a prediction of a score, to give a game ball out, and also give a prognostication, something that's going to happen in the game that's going to blow our minds, something amazing that's going to happen. So, let us get started, and we will start with Dustin. Dustin, how are you this evening still?
Good. Doing good, sir. Thanks for asking.
Yes. How's the old liver, okay?
We're using the stunt liver tonight.
All right, okay. Anyway, so Dustin's nickname also is Seabiscuit, and if you would like to know why his nickname Seabiscuit, please feel free to email us at 12manfanjam@gmail.com. I will tell you the entire story of why Dustin's known as Seabiscuit. Okay.
It's a pretty good story.
It is pretty funny, and it's nothing embarrassing, really. Dustin, you've thought about this game, I'm sure, since probably February. But
yeah.
Let's go into, well, I guess really April the schedule came out. The preseason's over.
You're correct.
No, that's true. Yeah, and it's for realsies now. This Super Bowl team is now the defending Super Bowl champions. What do you think the score of this game is going to be?
I think it's going to be 42-17 Hawks.
Woo!
The reason why is because the offense are not going to be the only people to score.
Oh, who's your game ball going to?
Percy.
Oh, mercy. It's Percy.
Mm-hmm.
And give me a prognostication.
Well, I think what's going to happen is, first, let me explain that I've been thinking about this since after the Super Bowl because they're going to unveil the banner that day.
Oh,
they're going to show everybody to see. Yep, exactly. Super Bowl championship. It's going to be up in the rafters. That place is going to be rocking. And the team's going to feed off the crowd, as they always do. But this time there's going to be some extra in it because we're the world champions. And I think that game, something crazy that's going to happen is Russell Wilson is going to end up having his first 400-yard game. That's what I'm calling right now.
Woo! Wilson, 400 yards. Just passing?
Yeah, just passing yards.
Okay. Wow. All right. That's tough to beat. Will, how are you?
All right. I'm thinking my score prediction is Seahawks 31, Packers 16. I think you'll give the game ball to Marshawn Lynch because my prognostication is that he will run for at least 140 yards and 2 touchdowns. And we're going to get a healthy dose of beast mode next Thursday night.
All right. Very nice. Very nice. Usually we do a section called Which is Bigger, but I thought because at the beginning of the year we're going to do our Fearless Season predictions. At 2-minute warning, we usually do which one's bigger. And that's we usually pick a stat, which one's going to be bigger. But we will start that the next game. Mark.
Yes, sir.
Are they still crying out there in the stadium?
They are weeping like a willow.
That's beautiful.
Do their tears taste delicious?
Oh boy. But beyond teardrops out here, the thoughts are I will call it 27-17 Seattle. And my game ball will go to Percy Harvin, who I'm keeping my fingers crossed for this year. And I think he's going to have I think he'll get in the end zone. I think he'll have a touchdown for this game.
1 TD from Harvin. Matthew.
Yes, hello.
From Merry Old England.
Merry Old England, right. Well, I think the score is going to be 26-10 Seahawks. And my game ball I'm going to give to Richard Sherman. And my prognostication is the opening score will be a Seahawks score, and it'll be a safety.
Ooh!
Ooh! Picking up right where they left off, I see.
Man! That's...
Oh, yeah. How I roll.
You crazy. That's crazy.
I'm crazy, man. Craig.
Yeah, you cray. All of a sudden, we're in 5th grade. Okay. I'm going to go 27-13. I'm also going with Sherman. I'm going to stay with my game ball. I'm not going to let you take it away from me.
Sorry.
But I'm giving it, that's okay. I'm giving it to Sherman because he will have a pick 6 in this game. And when he does, that stadium you thought we had Beastquake? Just wait. That's all I'm saying. When it happens, it's going to happen early. The crowd's going to be pumped. It might even be the first series. If Green Bay wins the toss, it's going to happen the first time Green Bay has the ball. Sherman pick 6. place is going to fall apart. It's going to be absolutely unreal.
Woo.
That's my prediction. A lot like what happened with the Saints and Bennett. But okay, now we're in a 2-minute warning.
Holy shit, it's a 2-minute warning.
In the 2-minute warning for this edition of 12th Man Fan Jam, we are going to make fearless season predictions. This is how this works. We're going to make some prediction about the season. Some crazy, amazing, crazy prediction about what is going to happen this year. It could be about the team. It could be about a player. It could be about a unit, offense, defense. It could be anything like that. We are going to once again start with Dustin. Dustin, what is your fearless prediction for the 2014 season?
I'm going to go, since Russell Wilson has been challenged to get 70% efficiency with his passes, that means he's going to have to get a lot of people involved. I'm going to go with Richardson is going to be the offensive rookie of the year.
Wow.
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 I like it.
I love it. Love it. Richardson, offensive rookie of the year. That's a nice one. That is daring. Will, how daring are you?
I say this is the year that the haters run out of excuses. Russell Wilson will be named most valuable player of the National Football League.
Wow.
Woo-hoo.
Wilson
That's a good one.
MVP.
And I'll be here to laugh in Pete Prisco and Skip Bayless's bony little faces.
And I will chant that every chance I get.
Oh, you better believe it. Mark, what is your fearless season prediction?
Well, I'm not sure how fearless it is, but I think we're all thinking it anyway, and that is that for the first time in 10 years, the Seahawks will be a repeat Super Bowl champion. We just have all the pieces in place. We have the leadership on offense. We still have all the cornerstone pieces are there. We didn't lose anybody of real significance. Our division rivals have taken a hit, although we can't take them lightly. And you look around the league, and I still think that we're the most solid team. And after winning it last year, we know what it takes to do it again.
Something that no one's talked about. I want to bring this up real quick. Something that no one's talked about. How many teams? It's very rare for a team to be as dominant as we were last year and win the Super Bowl. And I talked about that. It's happened really 4 times that well in 48 years. But to do that, and we didn't lose any of our coaching staff. Offensive coordinator still there. Defensive coordinator still there. Head coach still there. And that's insane.
Absolutely. I just hope Paul Allen has blackmail material on each one of these guys because I don't want any of them going anywhere.
I agree. I thought for sure we'd lose at least Cable, but we didn't. And I'm very glad we haven't lost anybody. Matt.
Yes.
Your prediction for the season.
Okay, I'm going to go right out there. I think that we're not going to have any failed drug tests this year.
That is bold. That is bold, sir.
That all the right cups. Honestly,
kids dig it.
Sad that that's a bold prediction.
All the right cups will be used. There will be no problems. There will be no crossing the streamers. Everything will go according to plan, and we will have no suspensions from drugs.
Cross the streams. Wow.
This is the 30-year anniversary of Crossing the Streams. That is crazy.
It is.
Yeah, it's going to be in theaters for a week.
Ghostbusters, kids, if you don't know who that is.
Yes, Ghostbusters. Okay. Unless you go to one of those theaters.
Yeah, really old. Good gracious. Also, just as a sort of more serious one, I also think we're going to have 5 games this season where the opponent will not score any points.
5
shutouts.
5 shutouts.
I love it.
All right.
Dance on their throats, people.
Well, I was
love
nervous.
That.
I love it too.
My vote is still for Mark's, though. Mark.
Oh yeah.
I hope he's right.
I was so worried that mine would be taken, and it wasn't, and I'm so glad. When you have a team this dominant as they were last year, it was pretty special. And I think this team is actually better than they were last year, which is scary. And I'd like to think that maybe I'm a Seahawk homer, and that's why I feel that way. But I can't help but watching them play in preseason, watching them in the offseason. And to me, Percy Harvin, he's not going to have the stats to dictate how valuable he's going to be on offense. but it just took a couple of series to realize he takes so much attention from everybody. They flank him out on that fake screen, whether they run it or not. The whole team off defense looks that way, and then Marshawn gets 10 yards up the middle. And that, to me, is what makes Percy such a key to this offense. It's not necessarily the stats he's going to have, but the whole offense is going to be hugely improved because of him. And that's why I'm about to say this, and this will make your mind completely blow. If, as great as this defense is, and it's probably safe to say, at the worst, it's a top 10 defense, probably top 5. We're going to have a top 10 offense this year. That's my prediction.
Nice.
And if we do,
mind blown.
Holy moly. Can you imagine if this offense becomes as potent as this defense, how absolutely dominant this team's going to be?
You're talking historically good. You're talking like undefeated good.
Well, the last team, when I did my research,
about.
The last team that fits this mold is the 1994 49ers with Montana and Rice. And that defense, they were both top 10. And they were 14-2, and they won the Super Bowl 55-10. And their trip to the Super Bowl was 2 playoff games. I think they won by 20 or more points. I mean, they just blew through everybody.
They beat the Chargers, right? That was the Chargers?
No. No, wait. Maybe it was before that. Was it the Chargers?
You're thinking 1989?
89 or I don't know if it was 89 or 94. One of them. It might have been the Chargers.
89 was when they beat the Broncos. 89 was when they beat the Broncos. 94 is when Steve Young beat the Chargers.
It might have been the 89 49ers because they beat the Broncos. I believe that's the game. Now, it might have been the Charger game, but I'm pretty sure it was the year they beat the Broncos. And that was in the middle of Montana and Rice's heyday. I mean, they were in their prime, and they were scoring at will, and they were stopping people at will. And it was just absolutely mind-boggling. That's my prediction.
And our linebacker coach got Super Bowl rings, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
He sure did. Ken Norton Jr. Wow. Whew. If that happens, if any of these happen, it's going to be a crazy year to be a Seahawk fan again.
If any of that happens, I'm going to Disneyland.
Amen to that. Of course, you still owe
no doubt.
You still owe a trip to Vegas for Matt, but that's because of trivia.
Well, if we score by safety first in this game, I may have to just go bite the bullet and take him.
Uh-oh. We heard it here first. The show ends with
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I think if any of these things happen, we should do something special for the person that gets it. I don't know what yet, but we'll figure something out. Maybe a 12th Man Fan Jam hat or something. We'll come up with something.
The home game show. What is it that you always give out, the home game version?
The home game version of 12th Man Fan Jam, which is a broken set of headphones. That you can have sit
We've had
there
more than a few of those.
and stare at the screen. So, what can we possibly say? But good, you'll have an extra pair. It's even better. Unbelievable that another awe-inspiring 12th Man Fan Jam show is coming to a close. It's just been a wonderful experience. We're so glad that you were able to waste some of your time thinking about the Seahawks with us. We hope you've been entertained. We hope you've been enlightened. We hope you've been enthralled while we spent this special time together. We also hope you've learned something, because we've all learned something tonight. We've learned that Dustin was known at one time as Seabiscuit. If you didn't know that. Yeah.
And email Moses for that.
12manfanjam@gmail.com. And we've also learned that Mark loves to see the 49ers in pain. So, on behalf of my partner in crime, Matt, the wonderful 12th Man Fan Jam posse, Statsman Mark, Shadowhawk, Will, X-Ray Hawk, Dustin, it's the same person. This is your self-appointed Reverend Moses, St. Paul Allen Church Seahawk Positivity. I'm tying his tongue and saying we hope you've had as much fun as we did. Enjoy the game on Thursday, and go Hawks!
Go Hawks!
Go Hawks!